Hello everyone. Today we are going to create this beautiful looking creative studio website. As you see, there is a lots of designing patterns happening with the Framer-motion. We will use that Nextjs 13 and Tailwind CSS to create this designing pattern, and once you go down you see how this Framer-motion is taking place to create that beautiful looking motion structure. And also we will use that apt router from the Next.js to create this router. And also whenever you just toggle through any of the pages, like if you go to the about pages, you see that Framer-motion, the fade in is taking in place, and we're gonna create it from the scratch. So if you go to the contact us carriers, so this video actually designed for whoever wants to learn and understand how Next.js application is working with Tailwind CSS and how you can adapt Framer-motion to make your website with a more creative way. And by the way, this full website is fully responsive. If you just toggle through to the smaller devices, as you see how the pattern is changing and is responsive, and all the functionality is working properly. If you just click on the icon, you can see if you just want to go to the services, it will take you to the particular portion of the pages. So this is the entire build. We will do it from the scratch, so whoever wants to learn like an advanced feature of Next.js and Tailwind CSS including the Framer-motion, feel free to just watch and learn from the beginning till the end. It will be a very good video from the beginner, and also if you are just working from the advanced level. And to create this video, we're gonna use that Nextjs 13 with that app router, and also we're gonna use that Framer-motion. We will use the Tailwind CSS, and we will use that Inter UI, because the font family, if you just go and check the font details, you see it's the Enter var. We are using the Enter font family, and we are connecting that font with that Tailwind value, so it will be a very good understanding how you can use the font family interactively from the Tailwind CSS. And at the end of our video, we will deploy it in Vercel, so also you will learn how to deploy your application in Vercel through GitHub. And also to go along with me, you need to install that Node.js in your machine, and also you need that Visual Studio Code as a code editor, because I'm gonna use that. So if you are having it, it will be a very good structure for you. For whoever, if you just want to give a try to the Marnistic or React application or the Nextjs application, feel free to stay alongside with me. I will take you through the entire journey, and at the end of the day, you're gonna have this entire interactive website in your arsenal. You can modify it as the way you want. If you can toggle through and you can take more advanced feature, I will just show you the way, then you can go along with it. Okay, so let's start. And to start with, I already opened one empty folder. Also, you just take any empty folder. I'm gonna open my terminal, and inside the terminal I need to run another code, that Next.js code. You can go through the installation, and this code we need to learn, we need to get that run here, npx create next app at latest. So let's try that, and let's make that next yt. I'll just keep in that name. So now it's gonna create that application, and also in the Next.js, now in this new version, it's gonna ask you so many things. As you see, it's already given up here. It will ask those questions, and we'll go through it together. So let's proceed with that. Okay, so I want to use the TypeScript. This video will be fully with the TypeScript, and also I want that ESLint. By default, the Tailwind CSS is there. I want Tailwind CSS, and I'm not gonna use the source directory. If you want, you can use that's the same structure. Just you need to keep everything, components, images inside your source directory. That's it. And I also the app router I want to use, and the alias no need. So now it's gonna go and fetch all the dependencies required to run that Next.js application. As you can see over here, it's gonna get that React DOM, Next, TypeScript, and for the type definition, Tailwind CSS, ESLint, auto prefixer. So it's gonna install everything. Just give it a bit of time. If your network is so fast, it will just do it in a bit. If it's a little bit slow, it will just take a bit of time. So you need to keep patient to get all the things downloaded over here. So as you see, everything is installed. Now either you can do it that code dot if you install the code Visual Studio Code Editor, or you can just open that one inside your code editor. Okay, so just feel free the way you love actually. So I will just put that code dot. So now it's gonna open it to my Visual Studio Code. Here you can see this already open. And by the way, I made a mistake because it will be in code dot, but I was not inside of that. So I'm gonna close it again. So first of all, if we just put in Alex, you will see we have that Next.js. So let's go inside of that Next.js. Now if I put that code dot, it will open it to my code editor. As you see, now it's over here. So let's make that code editor a little bit bigger. Okay, and also I will open my terminal from here. Just okay. So now to run that entire application, I need to put that npm run dev. So while it's spin up, because we can see it in our localhost 3000. As you see, it's already started spinning. So it will display over here. So first of all, while it's loading, let's explore what we have. And by the way, it will just give you so many things by default. If you go over here, that's the next directory for the next configuration. And now we have one app directory, the app folder. So inside over here, you can see the Fabi icon, the CSS classes, the default classes is over here, and we have that layout folder and the page.tsx. So whatever you will view in your initial page, it will be coming from here. So if I remove everything from the main, it will just go. Before removing it, I want to just change the font. As you see, it's coming with enter the default variable fonts coming up from the Google set up by Nextjs. I'm not gonna use that one because today I will set it up in my way. So let's remove it from here. And now if we just come over here, as you see, the font is changed because it's getting the another default structure font from their own arsenal. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go with that entire UI. From that, just copy that one, and now I'll just open another terminal from here and let's paste it. So let's give it the time to install that one, and while it's installing, we need to change some other things also. Like we need to go to our global.css file. As you see, this is our global.css file, and over here in the top, let's remove that first, because this thing is giving us that default some of the things. As you see, this over here, now the color and other pattern is just removed. So now let's just connect our inter font over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just import, and that import, it will be enter UI, and it will be inter.css. So we are just going to have that. Okay, oops, it will be this one. So now we are having our inter font connected with our global.css, but we need to mark it through our Tailwind config file. So what we can do over here, we just need to do it that const default themes. So the default theme will be, and it will require, and that require it gonna be take from the Tailwind CSS, and that default, I believe there is a portion, yeah, that default theme we are imported from there. First of all, I'm gonna remove that background things not needed. So in the font family, okay, in the extent, I believe it will take inside the extent. So let's make that font family. It's not showing in that way. Okay, so first of all, I will just type the variable for the sans font, and I'm gonna pass one array, and that array I'm gonna give an initial name for that interval. You can give any name you want, and then I'm gonna drag whatever the default font is providing, and from there font family sans. So by default it will be the font sans, but we're gonna marking up with that through the interval. So if we come over here and check in the font details, you see the interval is working. If we just make a little bit smaller, if I off that one, as you see, font is changed. If I just open that one, the font is working. So our interfont is connected with our application, and it will be preloaded whenever the application is loading in a faster load. So now we can start work with our page.tsx. So what I'm gonna do inside that main, I'm gonna remove all other things, and now I'm gonna take a p tag. This is our new app. So now as you see, our application is good to go. So we can now start from the beginning, and every other things we can actually start to create. So let's begin to start with that. First of all, what we're gonna do, we're gonna create that header, and also we're gonna create that footer, because we will keep that both of in the layout folder, so we can access wherever page we move this footer and header we can see. So first of all, let's go and create that header. And to create the header, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in the root directory over here in the roadway. So I'm gonna take a folder name, which will be it will be components. Inside that components, I'm gonna take a file name header.tsx, and now I'm gonna use that arrayfce, the snippet, to create. Let's make it a little bit bigger, and to create that functional component. If you want to use that, actually, if you are just looking forward with the snippet and other shortcut I'm using, so feel free to install that one, that extension ES7 plus React Redux, to implement that RFCE to create, or RNAFE to create React Native snippet. So this is responsible to create every other things. And also you need to install for that PTR, because whenever I'm saving, you can see that especially my code is all are structurized. Go through all the settings portion, it will be very easy to fix. And now also you need to have the Tailwind CSS IntelliSense, because whenever I'm gonna type the class name, you're gonna see it will give me the predefined name, because the IntelliSense will give you me in advance, so it will be very easy to cop up. So just install those things, it will really speed up your development environment. So let's go to our header, and first of all, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna connect my header not in my page, I'm gonna connect it in my layout. Over here we are declaring our layout page. So now here I'm gonna pass that header, I'm gonna import it here, and then I'm gonna pass the children. And if you just go to our application, you see header is available. And by the way, we have our title, we have our image, so the icon image. So that's the things we need to change. And to change that one, as you see, this is responsible to change the title. So it will be Creative Studio. So now you see the title, is already changed. Now we need to change the icon. This Fabi icon is responsible to show you the icon over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna delete this one from here, and I'm gonna take my icon, which I prefer. So I'm gonna drag it from my previous project, and if I save, just give it a time. Sometimes it's because of the caching, it's gonna take a bit of time. It will load actually. So now also I'm gonna using several images, so it's better and a good structurable way to keep all the images in a public folder, especially in your Next.js application. So now I'm gonna using that banner 3 images over here, and also I have that image for the client image, which is over here. So this all will be available for you. I will keep in the description. If you see, if you just looking at the video in the YouTube, you will find the link in the description to have that in your arsenal to download it. Or also I'm gonna provide that GitHub link to get it cloned, or you can download from there. So don't worry about it, it will be on your site. So now let's create the other things in the header. So let's go back to the header, and first of all, I need to let you understand what we're gonna create. Basically, in our header section, I'll just split up in a way that you will understand it better. Now in the header, we have a parent div. Now inside that parent div, we have actually 2 div, which one will contain our left side, one will contain our right side, which in that way we're gonna prepare. Okay, so let's go to begin with that. First of all, we're gonna create our left portion. So first let's just put in a in the parent div, we're gonna type another div. Inside that div, we're gonna first create our logo, and then we're gonna create our like the header list items. So in this way, we're gonna create. First of all, in the top level of the div, I'm gonna put some class name, which will give this, it will be a full width and height. It will be a 20, and I'm gonna give a border B, which will be 1 pixel. Just put a px, it will give 1 pixel, and the border, it will be a gray of 500. Okay, and by default the px padding x, it will be 2, and the bg, it will be white. So if I save, I believe we're gonna see something. Okay, it's not giving us, so let's just put as 1 pixel. As you see, now we can see our header is appearing. So inside that one, we need to create two things. First, I'm gonna inside the p tag, you can keep your image or any other things, but for me, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just pass a text, which will be a creative studio. So now in this text, as you see, it's already appeared. But first of all, in our top level of the div, let's put again some class name, because we in the parent we are giving 20. So I'm gonna put that one as it will take the full height of the parent, and I'm gonna give a max width of a screen. Let's give it as a 2 pixel, and I'm gonna put everything inside in the middle, so it will be mx at top. As you see, if I save, nothing that much changes. Now let's make it a flex and item center. As you see, that something is moving, it changes. So if I just put into axle width, as you see, it's coming over here. So our width is actually working. It's because of the 2 axle is taking my screen up proportion. That's so you can see it properly. So now in the p tag, let's just put some of the class name. If we just put text of 2 axle, and I'm gonna put a font as the bold font. As you see, it's changed. But in our occasional, the main part, as you see, once you hover through, there something is going from the right. So we need to create that portion. So first of all, before creating that, I'm gonna wrap entire thing with that link, and that link you need to import it from the next link. As you see, we need to import from the next link, and that next link taking another portion is that the href we need to amplify. So I will just put it in the, like, it will take us to the home. So we are already in the home, so it will just be available here. So now as our home is prepared, so let's create that design one, and I'm gonna keep it inside that span tag. To make it work, let's put some class name over there. First of all, I'm gonna make it a relative div, so that's why I can make it an absolute, right? So let's put some class name. By default, it will be an absolute div, and also from the bottom it will be 2. It will take the full width and height. I'm gonna give 2 pixel of height to take it, and also it will be inline block. And now we need to give some background, right? And to create those interactive background, I already predefined some of the colors for me, and that colors you can declare over here in the colors variable. You can predefine any color you may like. So I have a body color, prime color, green light color, dark green color. You can put any color you want. So let's go back to the header. I'll just save that file and go out from there. And now in our header, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a VG of that prime color. It's a little bit dark green. As you see, this already available, but we don't want it to see, right? So first of all, what I'm gonna do in the top level, that parent div, I will put it as a group, and in our child div, I'm gonna make as translate X. I'm gonna put it is in 100%. And when I put it 100%, as you see, it's coming to in my right side, but I want it to hidden from my left side. So I'll just put minus 100%. So it's already there. So let's just make it a bit smaller so you can, or what I'm gonna do for this one, just put it in Excel just to see it how it work. So now when I am going to hover in the group, because we already put in the group, So when we're gonna hover in the group, the translate x, it will be 0, so it will become in the middle, as you see. And now also we need to put a transition, and that transition only work okay, transition, that transition only work while it's going to be having that transformation, and that transformation duration, it will be it's too much. I'm gonna give it as a 700. So as we see now, that one is actually effective, it's working perfectly. But to make it looks better, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just remove that overflow as hidden from there. And now as you see, we cannot see any overflow and it's working pretty slick. So just let's go in the parent div. I'm gonna put it into Excel as the way it's supposed to be. So now we have our one side which is done. So now let's go back and do the other part. And to make that list item, first of all, that list item, it will appear here, and let's just make a div over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to my rows there again, and here I'm gonna take a folder named constants, and inside that constants I'm gonna put that as index.tx. Now in here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna declare all the, like as you see, I have the title, I have that whenever I click it's taking me to the link, so I'm gonna declare that variable over here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just export const header list item, and that list item, it will be an array, and inside that array it will take one ID, and that ID you can put any ID, okay, any number ID, and then it will take a title, and that title will contain the name of what I want to put, and also it will take a link, and that link will redirect us where we want to go. So already I defined those names, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just grab those names for here. So just put it. So I am passing a valid ID, and B, make sure that all the IDs are different. If it's similar, the Nextjs will start crying. Okay, so make sure that ID is different because we will keep that as the key for our array. So now in here on the div, I'm gonna take another li like ul, unordered list, and over here I'm gonna go through that header list item, and then I'm gonna map through, and I'm gonna take parameter as item, and then I'm gonna return an li, that list one, and that list will contain that item dot title. And if we come back over here, as you see, you can see that is available over here. But first of all, in our parent div, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make it that justify between, because we want to push it in that side. So this things is available, and also we will pass a key props which will be item dot ID. So now we are rendering everything properly. First of all, let's go make things a bit clear in the top level of our div. By default it will be hidden, right? Because we want to show the smaller screen, so it will be hidden by default. Whenever we go in the LG devices, it will be like an inline flex, and item it will be center, and the gap we're gonna give a 8 gap, and the text it will be SM, the small text, and also we will make it upper class, and the fonts we will make it as a semi-bold, and also the tracking we will make it as white. So now you can see that is actually available, but we need to make some changes over here in our unordered list. So let's make it a flex and gap of 8. I give that gap because we will have that UL, and also we're gonna have one button over here. So this button, it will go over here. So just let me put for you, it will be harm me. So as you see, this button we're gonna predefine later on, so that's why we keep that 8 pixel of gap. So now once we hover, as you see, there will be an effect going on. So let's create that effect. So first of all, we need to make that in a very fashionable way. So first, let's go through, because once we are making that active, you see that things is available. So let's go and grab from the proportion of like when the active, what it will do, and once it's not active, what it will do. So make const active and set active, and we're gonna use that use state, and by default it will be false, so nothing is active. So we will predefine which will active and which will not be active later on. And once you are using use state, as you see, the Next.js is crying because everything is rendering from the server side in the Next.js, but use state is taking in a client side only you can use. So whenever you are using those kind of things, you just type that use client, and then those error it will just wipe away. So now we are having everything on the move. So first of all, let's go to our li, the list item. So in that list item, we're gonna give some class name, and that class name I'm gonna put in the curly braces and then the backtick. So first of all, we're gonna check if it's active or not. Okay, if it's active, then item dot link. And okay, if that, because we are passing that also link, okay, we will pass that active later on. First, just make some class name. Okay, so the text, it will be gray 600. Let's see how it's saying. Okay, gray 600. And for that, okay, hover text prime color, and cursor pointer, oops, not auto pointer, and the duration, it will be 300. So whenever we are hovering, as you see, those things are changing. So now also we need to do another thing. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this entire div as same the way we did it before. We'll make it group, and also I'm gonna make it as relative, because inside over here, inside that list item, I'm gonna take another span tag. And now let's go to make something. First of all, it will be absolute, and then width, it will take the full width, and I'm gonna give a scale of 0. So first of all, you will not see. So whenever it's gonna hover, oops, it will be group hover, that scale, it will be 100%. So whenever you are hovering, first of all, you will not see, then whenever you're hovering, you're gonna see it, because the scale, it will be 100%. And as is span tag, you need to make it an inline block, otherwise you will not see that. And also I'm gonna give a predefined height, which will be a 2 pixel, and minus bottom, I'm gonna make it like 1 pixel. Okay, and from the left, it will be 0. So let's see. Okay, it's not showing us. We are missing something, because we are missing the background color, because if there is no background, how it will show? And the background color, it will be prime color. As you see, that is appearing, but it's getting a blazing fast, so we cannot actually see it in proper way. So let's make that a bit of slower. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just go and grab a duration. Oops, it will be duration of 700 or 500, the way you want, as you see. So better to put it in 500, looks better. So now, as you see, that's super slick. So now we need to work with the button. So first of all, in the button, what I'm gonna do, put some class name, and width, I'm gonna give it 36, and height, I'm gonna give 10, bj dark green, text white, text will be uppercase, rounded, it will be MD, and hover bg primary. The duration, I'm gonna give it 300. So you can just connect your CV and other things to make it work. So feel free to create whatever the way you want to see. And also I'm gonna put a tracking white, because the text is scratched together. Now looks better. So now we are having that our header portion. So we need to create a responsive, because we need to, as you see, whenever we are going through our smaller screen, it's just disappearing. So we need to create our other application. So before creating this screen, because it's just a functional fundamental things, let's just create some pages, because we need to see which pages is active and which is not active. Okay, first let's create a dummy page, like another page. So to create a page in Next.js 13 is a very simple, like we want to create that service pages. So what we need to do, we need to create a folder, name services. Okay, inside that folder we will take another like page.tsx and array-fce, and now it will be services. You can keep any name here you want, it will not conflict because the routing gonna be with that services setup. Okay, so now if we just save it and let's go back to like services, and as you see we are in the services page. So that's very simple to create pages in Next.js 13. So if we just go back, it will just take us to the back. So now we are having a pages. So let's go create some that active classes and other things. First of all, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wrap that li with that link, and that link, that href, it's gonna be item.link. Remember we passed that link. So now if we just click on the service, it's taking us service. If we click here, it's taking us back. So now we need to predefine the active classes, and to do that, what I'm gonna do in our here, I'm gonna just cut that and I'm gonna put that in a backtip, and now I'm gonna define if it's active is available. Okay, but in that active is available also, but we need to find the link actually. Okay, in which link is route is going, right? Whenever we click over here, we need to find that services, the link, available link. And how we can do that, it's there is a very good feature in Next.js, and that is we can get it through the like const path name, and that path name we're gonna use that we will use that use path name. Okay, and that use path name we're gonna use from that next navigation. So let's import path name from next navigation. Don't import it from the link or router, it will not work. You need to import it from the navigation. Okay, so if you just now just go to the console.log, you will get the path name. So let's go make an console.log path name, and if we just open my console over here, okay, now if we go my home, as you see it's coming home. If I go to the services, it will go to tracking, because it will track all the single path name over there. So now I am having the path name. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a use effects use effect, and here I'm gonna declare which will be my actual path and which will not be. So I'm gonna just put that set active, and that active will be the path name, and whenever the path name is changes, it will change the directory according to that path name. So that's very simple to just implement that one. So now I know which path and how it gonna render. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna initialize that one over here. So let's take again from the beginning. Oops. So now if active equal to link, oops, okay, not for that link, item.link it will be, and we need to put that condition. If that one, if the active containing with that link, what it gonna define, we're gonna just define that text, it will be prime color. Okay, so that's the simple things we need to predefine, and other way it will be the all, it will be in same way. Okay, okay, still showing us the error. Okay, if it's in active item.link, okay, because it will not be true and false, we need to pass it as a string because we are giving it as a name. So now once we go to the home, as you see the text name is changed, the text color is changed, so that's why it will work. Okay, So now also we need to predefine over here for that one, because we want it to be stay. Also we are hitting on that link, so the same portional way we're gonna declare if active is equal to item.link, then what it will be, and then we're gonna just pass that scale, it will be 100%, otherwise it will contain the default behavior we have. So now if we go to the home, if we go back to the home, as you see, it's stay. If we go to the service, it's stay. So that is working pretty much fine. So let's begin to create our other portion, like other pages. So we have services, and after services we will create that about us page, and the same way it will be page.tsx rafce about us, and after about us, contact us and carrier. So contact us, and not the last one, it will be not the file, actually it will be folder carriers. Okay, it will be carriers. So now if I toggle through the name, as you see, I can go to the about page, I can go to the contact, I can go to the carrier page, and I also can toggle through my main page. So now this is the page we already created. Now let's create the footer. To create the footer, let's go back to our component. So over here we are going to make that footer.tsx rafce. So now this footer, again, let's close all other tab. So okay, so this footer also will be initialized in the layout, as you see. Okay, after that header the children will render, then we're gonna pass that footer. So now if you go back to design, you can see the footer is available. So the footer, it will be much more straightforward. And to implement that one, first of all, let's okay, what I'm gonna do, put a class name which will be width, which will be a full, and the background, it will be green 100, and from the top I'm gonna put it 10 to just panel war. So as you see, I think not the gray, it will be green 100. As you see, this is our footer. So now what I'm gonna do, instead of giving everywhere is the max width of screen to Excel and MX Auto, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna render another component which will be my container.tsx. So now in the container, I'm gonna pass whatever the classical formation I want to pass. So first of all, it will take children as props, and we are going to render that children over here. And as you see, the TypeScript is crying because we need to define the types for that. So in the props, that children, it will be React element, and also I'm gonna pass that props as the type definition for it. And what I'm gonna do for that, the max width I'm gonna put as screen to Excel and MX Auto, and it will be px and x-axis 2 to give it lifting some bit of room for it, and the padding in y-axis, it will be 10. So let's save it. In our layout, we are passing the footer. Now in the footer, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass that container, as you see. Now inside that container we will pass that, but now we need to pass inside the p tag. So as you see, it's getting the maximum width of 2 pixels, and again, if because of this screen you may not see it properly, as you see, if we put a little bit smaller screen, it looks pretty nice. So now in the hover, we're gonna have one simple bit of text. First it will be one p tag, and that p tag will contain this text, which will be the copyright and studio portion. So this is our first text over here. As you see, let me just give the class name of text as a small text. Okay, that looks good. So now we need to render three portion. One will be the support and the tabbing section, and another one which will be for giving us that icon section. So let's go and implement that one. And to implement that, we're gonna create a footer list. Okay, so it will be a footer list, and inside that list I'm gonna give that list as an array, because we're gonna render through each and every single items from that. So now we are mentioning the title, and also we are passing an ID to give the keyframe for it. We are giving a title, and then we are passing the link. You can pass any link you want, just feel free to customize that one. And as you see over here, a little bit things is going on. This is rendering through that icon, and to implement that one, we are going to use that it will be npm. We are using that React icon to render the icons for our today's applications. So what we need to do, we need to install that React icons in our project. So let's install that one, because this portion, as you may see, this portion, it will be an icon. So we need to implement that one, and where icon it will be, as you see the last part, the icon it will not be there. So we are passing a props as icon true to true, the another one it will be false, or just passing no icon if it's not available. So what I'm gonna do after that p tag, or I'm gonna wrapping everything under a div, because otherwise the container it will cry, because we are passing the React element which can contain one element in a particular children as a props. So now we are passing that p tag. Let's pass that list item, and that unordered list we're gonna pass that it will be, no, we need to pass inside. Yeah, now it's gonna take. So footer list dot map, we're gonna pass at this as item over here, and then we're gonna render that list item dot title, and as you see that is available over here, and the key I'm gonna pass ID. Okay, so now for the top level of the div, what I'm gonna do, put some class name, and in that root level I'm gonna give that class name as a small text. So that in the child level, no need to pass that. I'm gonna make it a flex, and by default it will be flex column for smaller skin, and whenever we're gonna hit in medium skin, it will be flex row, and also whenever we will hit in MD, it will be item center, and then the gap, it will be, just give a gap of 2 and justify between. Okay, so as you see, it's getting back to just pushing everything on that side. And also the UL, what I'm gonna do, flex item center, and the gap, it will be 2, as you see. So now we need to render that icon, and that renderation, it will happen that item dot icon and now we're gonna pass that icon. And for my today's build, whatever icons I am using, I'm gonna just implement from here. And if you want to get those icons, just go back to the I think the home page. No, it will be that React icons, they have their page. Okay, that's the okay, now you can search, like if you want to get that Facebook icon, you will get whatever the icon is available. You see there is a lot of variation, you can choose from where you want to get, so feel free to do that. So now this the icons I'm gonna use for overall build. So what I'm gonna pass that okay, if item dot icon is available, okay, it will not be outside of that list, it will be inside here. So now as you see, okay, we cannot see anything yet. It's because we are missing something. Okay, let's just put that class name text Excel. As you see, the icon is available over here, but it's not giving that room, because what we need to do in that list item, we need to pass that class name, which will be flex item center, and the gap of 2, and the text gray of 500. And whenever we're gonna hover the text, it will be primary, and the duration it will be 300, and also we need to make that as cursor pointer. So as you see, everything is working fine. So now if you want to just make a clickable link, you need to wrap that everything over here, and then you need to pass that link, and that link href, it will be item dot link, because once we are wrapping with that on the link, we need to pass that key in the top level. So we need to pass that key on the link. So as you see, if we click, it's supposed, okay, just make a reload. Okay, so now it will work in a very predefinable fashion. Okay, so if you just pass that link, it will take you with that href link. So now we are having that, and after passing that UL, we need to pass another div, and inside that div, what I'm gonna do, we need to I'm gonna pass like my GitHub icon, and for that GitHub icon, give a class name. The text, it will be Axel, and the hover text, it will be primary color, and cursor pointer, oops, it will be duration, it will be 300. As you see, that one is available, but I want to make a clickable link. So first, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go my GitHub account, and from there, let's go back to my profile, and I'm gonna take that my profile link to connect it over here. And to connect that one, I need to just put it inside an anchor tag, and then I will pass that variable, and that href, I need to pass that as my link item, and also I will need to pass that the target, it will open a blank page, otherwise it will create just inside my own page. Just to show how it will work, I'm just gonna create it in a blank page. If I click it, you see it gonna go through that one, and it will open in my new page. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just go through and grab other 3 accounts like that way. Okay, and there is another which will be for my YouTube. Okay, so now that's all are the accounts. As you see, all icon is stacked together. So for that, in the top level of the parent div, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make it a flex item center, and gap, it will be a 4, and the text gray will be 700 by default. So as you see, that will now, I think, pretty much stack all together. Just make a reload. Sometimes it's taking time to load a bit. Okay, I saved already. Okay, there is another problem is happening, because remember that anchor tag, I need to make it out from that. It will be just contain that GitHub. That's why it was just freak out. So now that's looking much fine. So we are having our header, we are having our footer. If we go any of the page, the header footer is available. So now it's time to create our first portion, which will be the banner. And by the way, for the smaller icon, which is gonna open up a menu, we're gonna just create it at the later on. So let's go begin and to create that banner part. Okay, in our banner section, as you may see, we have 2 portions the same way, and that one is having the left side, and there is another portion is having the right side. Oops, okay. Okay, something is going wrong. Okay, so we will create that both side, but once we just re-rendering, as you see, that effect is coming up from the Framer-motion. So we need to have that Framer-motion to initialize everything over here. So let's go to the documentation for the Framer-motion. Over here, the introduction, and we'll go to the installation over here, and I'm gonna copy that, and let's drag it in our application. So let's install that one. So how I'm gonna create that motion thing, I'm gonna take a variable which will be the fade in, which gonna give us that fade in effect. Also is having that fade in effect, and then we're gonna create another effect using over here in other props. So let's go and begin to create that. I think it's already installed, and to create the first step, we're gonna create a file named banner. Oops, it will be banner.tsx rafce. Now that banner we're gonna implement, like we're gonna connect it through our page, the main page over here. So this will be our first portion in our first page. So let's go and implement that, and as you see, the banner is available. And now, as you may know, we already created that container. So inside our banner, what I'm gonna do, first of all, it's gonna be taking the full width. So oops, okay, so now container, and in the container just put an h1 tag where I'm gonna put that showcase your creativity. So now as you see, it will reflect over there. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna also take it inside a div to wrap everything up over here. So now let's go for that h1 tag, or before h1, let's go in the top level of the parent div. Class name, it will be bg prime color, and then width, it will be full rounded, bottom left, which will be 3 axle, and that rounded bottom right, which will be also 3 axle, and I'm gonna make it by default as relative. Okay, so as you see, that structurable things is already created, which we have in previous build. So now for our this h1 tag, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a text of 3 axle, oops, 3 axle, and whenever it will hit in MD screen, the text, it will be 2 axle, and okay, just keep it as a 3 axle, I think it will looks perfect. And whenever it will hit in LG screen, it will be text 4 axle, and in that XL screen, the larger screen, it will be the 5 axle. So you will see now the 5 scale size over here, and also the font, it will be semi-bold. So now there will be 2 portion of that. So I'm gonna wrap everything inside another div. So it will be, one will be like my left side, and another it will be the, oops, it will be the right side. Okay, yeah. So in the left side there will be 2 more. Okay, let's go in the top level of the div after the container, and the text, it will be by default, all the text, it will be white text, and we're gonna make it in a grid pattern, and in MD it will be grid calls of 2. Okay, and the gap, it will be 20, and font we already predefined, and also we'll make that place item as center. Okay, so as you see, that looks better. So now after that h1 tag, I'm gonna take another p tag, which will be lorem 50, just to get some random text of 50. As you see, this is the pattern over here, the similar that, so we will just make it designed to looks much better. Class name, it will be text, small text, and tracking, it will be white. Let's see how it looks. Okay, good. So now in the parent level of the div, I'm gonna make it flex, and also it will be a flex in a column, and then gap, it will be 6, but in the bigger screen I want to give a more gap, which will be 10. So now you see that portion is working. Okay, and by the way, also what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give some padding in the x-axis 4, because it's getting squashed together. Okay, now it looks better. So okay, that looks good. And now we're having this div after that div. Okay, I'm gonna take, after that p tag, I'm gonna take another div where I'm gonna pass a input, and that input, the placeholder, it will be email. So I'm talking about that's the input and that's the button which we're gonna create. So first of all, in the top level of the div, that will be import, and that another it will be button which will contain the next. So in the top level of the parent div, let's keep that class name with, it will be the full width of this another parent which is contained of that. Padding will be 6, and axle, the padding, it will be the 10. You're gonna see the 10 padding right now, and the background, it will be white, rounded 3 axle, flex column, and okay, whenever it's LG, it will be it will be flex row, and text, it will be block, justify between, by default the gap which will be 5. So now you can see this two part is already separated accordingly. And now over here in the input value, I'm gonna give a height with a full, because it will be split up in two ways. It's already in the flex. So the height, I'm gonna do, the border, it will be 1 pixel, and the text, it will be base, and the text gray 600, just to bit looks better. Okay, as you see, this taking the full weight, because when we keep it as also the full weight, it will come in the same proportion. Okay, and in here, placeholder, I'm gonna make a text in a tracking white, and border, just make it a gray of 300. Okay, not border, it will be border. Okay, and I believe the rounded, it will be axle, padding in x-axis 4, and outline, it will be none. Like if we not keep it as none, once you click, as you see, that outline is coming. So we need to make that, like, we don't want to see any outline. Okay, so outline, it will be none. So whenever we are hover, the border, it will be prime color, and the duration, I'm gonna give it as 300. So now once I click, as you see, okay, that looks good. And also after hover, like whenever we're gonna make it a focus invisible, also I'm gonna make that border as prime color. So even I hover, and if we typing on it, as you see, that border is staying. Okay, now it's time for the button, and for the button, again some class name, the width will be a full, and the height, it will be, it will be 12, or you can define the height in the parent level. It also will work in that way. And rounded, it will be the same round of that. BJ, it will be black, and text, it will be white. As you see, it will mark up all the gap and padding in proper way. And now the text, it will be uppercase, font, it will be a medium. After giving the font, whenever I'm gonna hover over here, the BG, it will be green of 950. Okay, I'm gonna give a little bit darker, and the cursor, it will be pointer, duration, it will be 300. So let's save it. Now you see, that looks good. And if you want to create the functionality, feel free to create it, because I am basically looking forward to create all the other functionality over here. So if you want to create other things, feel free to implement that. Okay, so now we are having, because we also need to implement that motion over there. So before creating the motion, let's go in our right portion over there, because we're gonna implement the other part. And in the right portion, I'm gonna take another div. Inside that div, we're gonna implement that image portion. So first of all, let's go to see if we can get that div or not. Let's put a class name with full, and also just make it bg green to see if we are getting that or not. Okay, height 20. Is it coming? Yeah, that portion is coming, so we are on the right track. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make it as a relative because other things will be in absolute. I'm gonna make it flex, justify center, item center, and the gap it will be 6. So now we need to import the images over here, and the images I'm gonna put on a div because we need to wrap it with the motion. So first of all, let's import that motion over here. So I'm gonna import motion from, okay, it's not giving me that auto import, motion from Framer-motion. Okay, so first initialize the image, and for that we're gonna use that image from the next image. And before implementing that image, we need to import that image in the top level. So let's import banner 1, and it will be from public and the images, then banner, and then banner 1, because my all the images is available over here in the public images in the banner section. So in that way I have 3 images, so let's go and grab that 3 images. So now in the source folder over in the source we can pass all the images like one by one. One will be banner 1, and for the alt tag it will be banner image. And also we need to give a class name width, which will be like 52, rounded it will be, oops, it will be a 2xl, and object we're gonna pass it as cover. So after passing that, you see one image is already available over here, and that image what I'm gonna do, because I need to wrap it inside a div, and it's because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass that div as a motion div. So now I need to pass some value for it. So in initial value it will be y of 200, the bottom part, and then whenever we are like after animates, what is gonna happen, so whenever the animation will be starting, it will be y of 0. So it's gonna take us with that in the top level. And the transition, it will be the duration, it will be 1 second. So now this is the normal setup of that things motion we are creating. Later on we're gonna create some advanced fade in and other portion. As you see, it's starting the freaking out because what we need to implement over here, we're gonna make it use client, because lots of the Framer-motion functionality is not predefined as in type is like in a root directory. Okay, as you see, it's gonna just give it a time to load. As you see now, okay, let's do it again. So once it's loading, it's just going in that right place. So what I'm gonna do, so now I have one image. Now I'm gonna random up of other images. Okay, and also for that image, okay, so this is my div, so I'm using that motion. I'm gonna, after that I'm gonna take another div, and inside that div I'm gonna pass other 2 image with that proportional value. Okay, there is not more changes over here, just changes on the value and the images in the initial value, like where it will head back, as you see, because we're gonna make it a flex and making rounding up in the flex in the row side. That's the changes only happening over here. As you see, is the flex and item center. So now on that div, what we can pass a class name flex column section, and also we're gonna pass a gap of 7, and the z it will be 20, or you can put the z or not z, it will work. Okay, I'm gonna not pass the z, let's see it's working or not. So if I just reload, okay, if we just reload again, as you see, it will not, it will just gonna pop up in that way. Okay, so now let's go back to the first one. As you see, okay, it's just popping up. So that's the same way it just gonna popping up on that. Okay, Okay, now let's create the other framework, like the other motion things over here. As you see, that two things we're gonna create right now, and this happening like in a slow motion because of the network error. So maybe you will not face that, it will get in a smooth animation. So first of all, in our components level, we're gonna take a file called fadein.tsx. So now here we're gonna declare the fade information. So like make it just RAFCE. Okay, we're gonna take it in the default one. So instead of taking this too deep, what I'm gonna take, it will be motion dot a self-closing deep. So let's import that motion from Framer-motion. So now what we're gonna pass inside of it, right? So let's see what we can do. I'm gonna take a variable and I'm gonna pass it as a fade in stagger context, and that will contain as the functionality of create context, and that create context we need to import it from React, and by default it will be as false. And also we're gonna pass a viewport, so we're gonna take as a const viewport, and that viewport we're gonna make it on true, and also we're gonna give a margin, and that margin it will be a 0 pixel and 0 pixel, then minus 200 pixel. So that is our viewport, which we're gonna make it to combine that our fade information. And also because we're gonna take is everything as a props, we can also pass the props through it, which I'm gonna show it later on. So just keep in mind we can pass the props wherever we use that fade in. So now we need to get two things, which will be it will be should reduce motion. So it's a motion will be reduced or not, it will be depend on that. And to implement that, we're gonna use reduce motion from the motion. So we need to import that, use reduce motion. Okay, I think I make a mistake to type the name. Okay, so that's the one. And also const is in stagger group. Oops, it will be group, and that one we're gonna pass it with that use context value, and inside that use context value we're gonna pass is that fader in stagger context. So it's a very simple things. So whenever you are implementing that, you're gonna understand it better. Okay, so feel free to just implement that one. And now in that over here we're gonna pass the variance, and on the variance first of all we're gonna pass it hidden, and when it's hidden it's gonna be opacity, it will be 0. Okay, and also we need to pass another variable, like in y section it will follow the should reduce motion. If that should reduce motion is there, it will be 0, or otherwise it will be 24. And now we are passing the variation. We also need to pass the transition. So transition, and the duration we're gonna give half second, like 5 milliseconds. And also we're gonna pass whatever is integer group, if is passing over there. If anything that one is passing, it will be an empty object, and if it's not passing any other, like if it's not passing anything, then we're gonna make that initial, and that initially it will be hidden. And also I believe it will be while in view it will be visible. And now we need to pass that viewport, and after passing that viewport overall over here, what we need to do, we need to catch if is passing any of the props. If any available props is passing, we will catch it over here, and also we're gonna implement. So now let's go back to header. Instead of that, as you see, not the header, it will be in the banner. So now in the banner, what we can do, actually we can wrap things up with that our fading. So in our h1 tag, let's just import that fading, and then we're gonna pass it over here. Okay, if we let's see if we are having an error. And of course we need to make it the same way, that use client. Okay, let's see. Okay, the motion div having the variable integer. Okay, let's just go over there. Let's see what we pass as wrong. Motion div the variance, we are passing the variance and other things. I think I found a mistake over here, because we need to pass that visible value, which we missed over there. And the visible value, it's gonna be like whenever the opacity it will be there, it will be 1, and also in the Y section it will be in the proper place. And also instead of passing that fade in, actually I believe we are making that mistake over here. It will not be in the fading, it will be that value of that is in Instagram group is there. So now if you just reload that one, as you see this coming with the motion effect. So now let's go back to our banner again, and also instead of that p tag, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass that inside in a fading function, and it gonna render in that way. And also overall that div structure, what I'm gonna do, let's get it in a fading and pass it in that value. Okay, so now if we just reload, as you see, that's giving us a little bit a cool standard. So now we are having one portion. Now let's create this part, which will be for our for the contact section, not the context, actually for the client section. Let's implement that one. So in the component section over here, let's take, it will be clients.tsx rafce. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna connect my client with that banner. So clients, okay, and I believe you will be able to see that client. This is the section over here which is responsible for the client. Let's go back to client, banner is done. And by the way, because we write it in a similar pattern, so it's actually responsive. Okay, so if you type already with me all other things, you will find it responsive. Now in that banner, in that clients, in the top label, let's give some class name. It will be empty of margin top and 24, and the rounded, I'm gonna make it a rounded as a default value, which I'm gonna give as a 50 pixel, and bj gray of 950, and also padding in y-axis it will be 20. So I believe you're gonna see something over here. Yeah, that's the portion. Now we need to like pop up the other things. So first of all, what I want to mention over here, this is the image portion. You feel free if you want to go with the images over I have here, or if you want your default image, just feel free to implement. That's a very simple if you want to use. So don't freak out if you just miss something. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take everything inside that container we have created before. So now then I'm gonna pass a div, and I'm gonna pass a h2 tag. We have, it will be we have work with hundreds of amazing people. So now as you see, this text is available over here. So what we need to do in the top level or in the below level, just make it a text of, because I want to make the text in the center, and the font it will be display actually, or I will make it medium. Okay, fonts will be medium, text SM, actually not in font medium. I want to put that font as semi bold, so let's cut that medium, and it's not visible yet. So what I'm gonna do, text white. So now the font it will be available. As you see, that's the font, because I keep it in center so you cannot see the center. And also I'm gonna make its tracking as wider. Okay, so that's the one. And now we need to implement that line head over here, and to get that one, after that h2 tag, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take another div, actually not a full div, I'm gonna take a self-closing div. And now let's give a class name, and that class name h, it will be 1 pixel, and flex auto, and also bg neutral, I'm gonna give a neutral of 700. So now, okay, that is already over here, but what we need to do in our top level, okay, in the top level, I'm gonna wrap it with a fade in, and as remember, we are passing as props everything, so we can also pass the class name as the props over there. So let's give the class name, which will be a flex item center and the gap in x-axis of 8. So okay, where is it? Now you can see, and that's also coming up with that proper segment. Okay, so now we are having that. So now I need to pass the images, and for the images, as I have told you before, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just get that import, like I'm gonna want to pass a logo, and I'm gonna go with that from like I am getting everything from that public folder, and then images, then I'm getting the client images. After that, I will toggle through the images from there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna import all the images whatever I require for this here. So this is the images I require, and also I will pass that as an array, so it will be clients, and I'm gonna pass that image inside that array. So feel free, you can create that array or you can use it the way you want. So I'm getting all the images over here. So as I have that images, so now what I'm gonna do, in that after the fade in, I'm gonna pass an it will be unordered list, and inside that list, unordered list, I'm gonna pass that clients.map. Now I am passing that as an array inside array. Okay, so what I'm gonna do from there, I'm gonna take that client and logo. Okay, and now I'm gonna return, and what I'm gonna return, I'm gonna return a image. I need to import it from the next image, and the source, it will be logo, and also the alt, I'm gonna pass that alternative as a client. And as we are mapping that, also actually we cannot render it with that mapping because it's a list item, so we need to pass it inside it over here. And also for that key, we're gonna pass that item dot logo. Gonna pass any, it will be okay, or instead of logo we can pass that as client. And the image, we don't want that image to be optimized, so it will be an optimized image. Okay, now you can see all the images is available, and for the unordered list, we're gonna pass a role of which will based on that as list, and also the class name, which will be from margin top, it will be 10, and initially it will be grid, and the grid columns of 2, and the gap in x-axis it will be 8, and also whenever it gonna hit an LG screen, it will be grid calls of 4. Yeah, and also I'm gonna pass a gap of 10. Now you're gonna see it in a side by side in a grid pattern. So now we need to implement that functionality to create. And to create that one, so what we need to jump in our fade in over here. So now by default we are passing the fade in, so we need to also initialize another, so I'll just put it in the same page. So from here I'm gonna make that export const, it will be a fade in stagger, because all the functionality over here, so just to be declared over here. So now I'm gonna take two props here by default, which will be a faster, and if it's faster is false. So initially the faster it will be false, and if we have any props, we're gonna collect that props. Okay, and now we need to return, and what we want to return is fade in stagger context. Remember, we are taking that context in the top level from that create context from the React. So if we use the create context, we can also use that provider from there. So in the provider, I'm gonna pass that motion.div. So it will be another self-closing div, and in this stagger that provide the value, it will be true. Okay, so you're passing the value, and now we need to modify that one. So what it will be initially it will be hidden, so nobody will see, and now whenever it will be while in view, it gonna be visible. And now the viewport, remember we pass one viewport, that's the viewport it gonna be choosing from there. And now transition, what's the transition we're gonna pass? That's the transition we already over here. It will be the stagger children we will pass, and if it's a faster, then it gonna be take that 0.12, and if it's not faster, it will be 0.2. So this is the functionality for that. And also we need to pass, if we are having to pass any props in between, we can catch the props over here. So now we have that fade in stagger. So what we can do actually right now in the client, so it's after that list item, or what I'm gonna do overall that UL item, the unordered list, I'm gonna take that fade in stagger and I'm gonna wrap it with that. And also I need to declare is as faster. So first of all, let's do it without faster. Let's see how it's looking. Okay, if you reload, as you see, it's not giving that functionality. Okay, let's just get it with a faster. Okay, let's hot reload, because while in view, okay, it's still not working. So I believe again we missed something on that fading portion. So in fading okay, stagger provider is true, we are passing that motion. I believe it should be working. Okay, let's just make a reload. Okay, let me fix that. And I think because we need to pass everything, the images inside that fading, then only it can capture that to create that style we are looking. So we need to pass that fading inside of that variable. So now if we just reload over here, and if you just go and you see that reloading is everything is working just fine. And also if you go to the other page, and after that once you come back, it's giving you that very good looking over that loading section. So now this looks pretty sick. So now we need to implement that other pages like in the services and others. So on the services page, what I'm gonna do, let's go to our services page. So the banner is done in the services. Okay, services. So here what I'm gonna do, or in the top level of the div, because what we need to do, we need to pass that container formation. Okay, so we're gonna take the container, and inside the div I'm gonna pass an h2 tag which will contain it will be provide the best services in town. Okay, so we are passing, because we are taking is inside the container, we are getting everything by default. Okay, so now what we need to do over here in the div, because we're gonna have some other portion also. So after that h2 tag, or by the way, I'm gonna put it inside that fading. by default, so it's gonna start popping up with that. So now what I'm gonna do, actually, instead of calling that h2, I'm gonna put that title.tsx rafce. So now I'm gonna combine that all the things, like I'm gonna take that one as title, and over here inside that h2 tag I'm gonna pass that title. And that title also I need to define the props. Props, it will be title string, because we're gonna pass the text over here. So now we're gonna pass that as the props value, so we can now use that title anywhere we want. So this is the value we want to pass in the title. So let's cut that, and instead of h2 we can just simply call that title, and now that title will take a parameter called title, and we're gonna pass that value on the title. And now what's gonna be benefit over here if we use like that way, the CSS, like we can just declare the CSS from here, and we can combine everything and everywhere. So like if we get that text of 2XL, and the font it will be semi bold. So now as you see, we are having that things over here. Now instead of typing 2 times the CSS, if I just copy that, the same functionality we're gonna have in all the other way. Okay, so now let's save it, let's go to our home, let's come back to in the services. Okay, we need to make reload once you are changing that, because we're using that fade in. And now after that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take another div, and then I'm gonna take a p tag. I'm gonna just pass a lorem of 50, just some random text. Now you can combine the text the way you want. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take 2 of it, and then I'm gonna declare the class name of that. It will be max width of 2XL, and also class name it will be a flex. By default it will be flex call. Whenever it will hit an MD, it will be flex row, and item center, oops, it will be gap of 10. Okay, now we are having that, and in the parent label of the div, class name flex call, and the gap it will be 6. And by the way, we need to implement that one in a different way. Okay, let me see, something is wrong because it's not giving. Okay, let's go and see the services what we have been created. Okay, that's the same. Yeah, that's the same. So nothing changes. And also this portion we're gonna pass inside, oops, fade in. So now whenever we are coming in home, just make a load, and if you go to services, as you see, everything is working just fine. So the same way, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just popping up the other div, like I'm gonna just copy this top and gonna paste it, just to have that implication to see that how the things is working. And in the about pages also, I'm gonna pass the same thing, because now you can create, because you know how you can do that. So now you can go through and pull the data you want to do it for that. But for me, just to show you how to implement that one, as I have been shown. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just import that default fade in, and also the container from, oops, it will be not the post CSS, oops. Okay, import from the container. So now after saving, we will be able to see the about page, and for the contact, and that about page contain the similar functionality. So don't freak out, just do the way you want. Just put your things, your details, and it will work just fine. I'm just going to populate just the default variable for me. Okay, we need to import the fade in, and also need to import the, oops, why is popping up from there? Okay, from the container. And after that context, we need to go for other carriers, and also the similar pattern for my carrier section. Let's go back over here in the carrier. Import and import. So now what I have now, I have all other things. Now I have that home page, as you see, that's working pretty sick. I have my services page, about page. This page is just to show you how the things, now you can modify the fade in, you can modify the other functionality for the Framer-motion, and there is a lot of pattern you can just go and explore. There's a lot of things to explore in that Framer-motion. So now there is one thing pending, which is the smaller screen. I didn't forget it yet, so now let's implement that, and that one, let's just close all other pages, and after we complete that, we're gonna deploy it through Vercel. Okay, so now let's go in our header and we're gonna implement that. So how we are going to implement? First of all, let's take a variable, and inside that variable it will be const show menu, and it will be set show menu, and by default it will be false. So now we are having that logo. After that logo, we need to create some portion. First of all, we will create, like, I'm gonna populate those things. First of all, let's get that logo, like a smaller logo. We're gonna implement that. So let's go inside a div, and inside that div I'm gonna take a span tag. First of all, let's go in the top level of the div. It will be flex. Oops, class name, it will be flex, and by the way it will be flex column. Or instead of giving that class names, let's just go and see what gonna be inside. So the class name, the width, it will be a full, and now we need to give that width and height. So the width it will be 7 and height it will be 5. Okay, the parent div. So now it will take the full width of the parent div, and height it gonna take 3 pixel of height, because now what we are going to do, we are going to create that icon. Okay, we're gonna manually create that, so it's gonna be easy for you to understand, and in future you can create your own. And now the bj it will be gray of 500, and now whenever we're gonna group hover bg it will be prime color, and now we need to make that as a group. Okay, and also I'm gonna make it as, okay, pretty much that. And now hover it will be prime color, and that, okay, translate we're gonna make it later on. Okay, and this portion, what I need to modify is that whenever it will hit that LG it will be hidden. Okay, and still you are not seeing anything, because what I need to do, I need to make it inline flex. Okay, still nothing is here. Okay, there is one. Okay, one is here. So now I have one. So first of all, what I need to do is I need to place it where I want it to be. So first of all, I want to place it in a minus translate x1, and also whenever I'm gonna make it group hover, it will be translate x in 0, so it will become in the same proportion. And the transition it gonna give us whenever the transform is happening, and the duration it will be 500. So now if I hover here, okay, it's gonna just give it the time to adapt. As you see, there is something happening. If I just go in the top level and give a border, now you will able to see. Okay, as you see, it's inside, coming inside over here. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just give that another 2 div to arrange it in the natural way I want it to be. So this is the 2. It depends on the translate x portion, how the way I want to put. I don't know why it's, and to implement that one, instead of that border, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this entire things as a flex, and also in the flex, oops, it will be flex in column. Let's see. As you see, it's stacked all together, and I'm gonna make it justify between. Now it looks good. Okay, as you see, it's coming in staggered together. And by the way, what I'm gonna make its overflow hidden, and also cursor pointer. So now as you see, okay, that's cool. And now whenever I'm gonna click on that, I'm gonna create an on click function, and whenever I click on that, it will be set show menu. It's gonna be true, so it's gonna show us the menu once we click on that. So now after showing us the menu, we're gonna implement that, like, oops, it will be, menu list item. So now we are having that show menu is affected. So now what we need to do, we need to implement that functionality to show us the never list item for our smaller screen. Okay, so let's go to implement that. So we need to generate something in a conditional way, like if show menu is available only, oops, it will be and then we want to return a div, and let's go and give that class name on the div. Oops, not the callback, it will be class name. The width, it will be a full, and height, it will be screen, the full screen height it will take, and it will be a fixed from the position. And now whenever it's in LG, it will be hidden, because in the bigger screen it will not be there, because the smaller menu will be not there. And by the way, it will be from the left, it will be 0, and the background, it will be dark green. And BG opacity, I'm gonna give it as 90%, and the Z index of 50. So we will be seeing that one once we click here. As you see, once we are just hovering back, it's gone. As you see, that's the portion is already prepared. So now what we need to do, we need to create another div, and inside the div we're gonna pass a span tag, and that span tag will contain one icon, which will be close sharp icon from that React hero icons, and not the hero icons, actually it's from that React icons. So let's import that one from there. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, okay, over here let's give a class name of that parent div. That class name, it will be width, it's gonna take the 70% of the width from the parent div, because parent is 100%, and height, it will be full. BG, it will be dark green, and padding, it gonna be a 4, and it gonna be make it relative. So now we will be able to see that one. Okay, let's just reload. Okay, now as you see, that's our parent div, and now that's the icon is over there. So what I'm gonna do, let's put some class name on the icon. It will be an absolute one, and from the right it will be 2, and from the top it will be 8. And text, I'm gonna put it as 3XL, and hover text rate, let's just give us 600. And okay, by default the text gonna be rate 400. Okay, and now cursor, it will be pointer, duration will be not the 500, it will be 300. So as you see, once we hover, now here, so now we need to also pass a clickable function, which will be on click, and that one will be set show menu will be false. So now once you click, we'll not see the menu. Once you click, the menu is over here. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass it inside that motion. Oops, it will be motion div. Now we need to import the motion. motion, Framer-motion. Okay, so now in the motion div, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just pass up some of the variable. Okay, and just a wrong pronunciation over here. So now it's gonna generate a little bit a smoother way. So if we click, as you see, generating a little bit smoother. So that's, you can change the value to do it the way, to say it the way you like. So now after the span tag, I'm gonna use that same formation. Remember, I have that okay, so in the top level of there where I have the logo, that's the logo, remember. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy that logo. I'm gonna just take that logo part, design part. If you want to take, you can take. And now I'm gonna put inside that the link portion, and I'm gonna implement here, and then href also I'm gonna pass that as the main ref. Okay, and the text, it will be white. Okay, that's cool. So now once we click, it's taking us to the main, but we also want that, like once we click over here, it will be passing another on click function, which gonna pass that set show menu will be false. So in that way, once we click, it will pop up like if we are here in some other page, it will just go back and pop up there. So now this is the thing. So now another one, we're gonna take another li, sorry, the unordered list, and remember we have that li. Okay, so that's linkable li. So previously we have been done. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just pop things up. Everything will be the similar, just we are passing that value over there to whenever we click any of it, it will be like any of it, that will be the false, and it will render me to the other page. So now as you see, that hover effect is happening because we are giving that color and other things. So now in the UL, I'm gonna make it a flex. It will be a flex in the column portion, and the text, it will be gray of 300, and text, it will be uppercase, text is small, and font, it will be semi-bold. Okay, so now as you see, that is actually working smooth. So now what we want to implement, okay, there is some gapping and padding. So this one actually I can give from here, MB of 4, margin bottom. It will take in that way also, and then over here, flex call, we need to also pass a gap. Let's pass the gap of 3. Okay, I took the D from there, so it will freak out. Okay, so now that's the portion also done. So it's pretty much, it's almost there. Okay, that's cool. Looks cool actually. It's a very simple, but it's looking fine. So now with that, I believe we are almost done. Okay, so everything is working smooth. So now what we need to do, we need to deploy it through Vercel. So now in this portion, you need to be very careful, because first of all, you need to go through the github.com to open an account in the GitHub, and also if you feel free to go to the Vercel and open an account in the vercel.com to go through along with me. You need these two things for that. So in the GitHub, what we're gonna do, we're gonna implement one repository over here. We're gonna create a new repository, which I'm gonna give that Nextjs. I'm gonna make it as public, and I'm gonna create that repository. And after creating that, what I'm gonna do over here, I'm gonna close it. Yes, so let's make it git init. So it will initialize the git over here, and now I'm gonna git add, so it will add every single things over here. Okay, did we have that git ignore? Yeah, just remember you need to have that git ignore, otherwise it will pass the node modules there. So already I have been created one repository over here, so I need to connect that repository with my repository. Okay, So I'm gonna add it over here now. Okay, we are using the master, so let's make that git commit. I need to pass a message, initial commit, and now I need to pass that git push origin master. I'm using the master because in my base is master, or if you're using the main, you can just type the main. So now if I just reload through, as you see, everything is available here. Now with that things, we're gonna pass it through our Vercel. Now in Vercel, it's very easy to open the account. You can use your GitHub account to connect it here, or you can use your Google account. So now I will just open in the dashboard, I will just take a new project, and now it's connected with my GitHub repository, so I can see all the repository over here. That's the one we have created. So now import that one, and we will just go with the default variable and we will deploy here. Now what it's gonna do, once we are passing in that GitHub, we are removing everything for the Nextjs functionality and the node modules. Everything we have been removed, and we just pass the clean slate of whatever, just we need to keep it there. So now what it gonna do, it gonna fetch all the required dependencies from their npm install, from the npm install to the Nextjs functionality, the serverless function, everything it gonna pop up from there, and then it gonna implement and start to make the building process. As you see, it's just fetching everything, tracing all the files. And always look for, like, if there is an error, it will pop up there, and fix it and then push it again, it will work. So as you see, our project is running. Let's go to continue to dashboard, and from their dashboard, as you see, next.yt.vercel.app. So now if you're having internet, you can access that website from anywhere you want. Okay, so that is the fully functional website now you have, that's working pretty smooth. Now you can use the contact form, you can use the carrier guide and others over here. It will be very beautiful in a simplistic way if you want to create. Okay, so I think it will give a credit for you, and the repository interlinked over there you will find in the YouTube description, and it will be available there. And if you want to see much more like this video, you can go back to my channel and see over there. There's a lot of things I created with that Amazon clone to some of the free website you can get, React Native application, and some good looking portfolio. Feel free to go and choose whatever the application you want to finish today, and I will just create some more for you to additionally give you just boost up. So we'll see you in next video.